Good day, ma'am. I will discuss the photographing the crime scene. Uh, each crime scene will be different, but John Horswell recommends that the following should be considered when photographing the crime scene. First, the photographic record should be comprehensive and should include the general layout of premises or features of an area. This will depend on the seriousness and circumstances of the crime. Next is the photographic record should illustrate the relative position of rooms, the state and those rooms, and the position of houses in the streets in relation to the crime scene. Next is footprints, show mark, tire tracks, and tool marks should be photographed with a scale before casting. A close-up and positioning photograph should be taken. Next is a photograph should be taken from a number of angles or positions, including those described by witness. A series of photographs should be taken from the point of entry and the point of exit. Next is that detailed photographs should be taken of potential evidentiary material such as body, injuries, weapons, trace materials, cartridge, case or cases, damage, and other relevant items. Next, as the crime scene examination progress, further photographs should be include the potential evidentiary material found and visualize area of importance which were previously concealed. Photographing evidence. The PNP forensic photographers follow standard operating procedures in the photographing evidence. Each object should be photographed individual in relation to other objects at the scene. Three purposes are served by the procedure. One is a permanent record is made of an original appearance of the object. Number 2, the photographed subject can be used in place of physical evidence to supplement the case report. Number 3, each article are preserved from unnecessary handling which might cause the evidence to deteriorate or otherwise become altered. And here are the procedures. Uh, for footprint and shoe impression, the imprints of shoes, foot slippers, or sandals are often found at or near crime scene. Before and after reproduction are made by the plaster cast or dental stone. The impression should be photographed. Next, evidence of the all kinds must be photographed in close-up range to show details. The procedure of the impression is quite similar to the described shoe impression. A length of the tire track that show a clear pattern should be shot several times in close-up range. Give maximum detail of the pattern. In murder or homicide cases, it is necessary to photograph in detail the pattern or color blood stains, the location, area, and tapering of the stain may indicate the position and action of the assailant of the victim. Small quantities of clue materials such as glass fragments, paint flakes, soil particles, fiber, hair, and other substances. And small specimens are often carried unknowingly to and from the scene of the crime. Their location on the suspect's clothing and at the crime scene should be documented carefully by close-up photograph or comparison purposes. Conduct mugshot photograph to the victims or victim and suspects while undergoing paraffin casting. Photograph other physical evidence submitted to the laboratory before examination such as suspect drugs, chemical, explosive substances, and others. Photograph vehicles submitted evidence to show the trajectory and bullet holes, entrance, exit, and extent of damage, as well as body serial number and chassis number, or order to show any sign of tampering. For firearms identification, conduct macro photograph on the serial number, nomenclature, and other small parts of the firearm or firearms submitted as evidence before the actual examination of the firearms examiner. Conduct close-up photograph on the firearm for identification and documentation purposes prior to the examination of the firearm examiner. Take the other photograph with ballistic value upon request of the firearm examiner. For fingerprints identification, fine grain, panchromatic film, and medium contrast along with some high contrast panchromatic film may be used to photograph latent prints. When photographing black powder latent prints in color object, the photographer must take the color of the colored background appears as light as possible in order to provide the greatest possible contrast with the black fingerprints. When photographing fingerprints on wood, it is best to develop latent prints on dark stained wood with white powder and photograph them with high contrast panchromatic film with blue filter. When photographing visible latent print found on glass, it must be photographed before and after applying powder on it. Latent prints found on paper and plastic should be treated with powders, fumes, or liquid reagents to bring out the prints clearly enough to photograph. Dusted and lifted latent prints that have lifted should be photographed as soon as possible. The lifting material bearing the print should be used as transparent positive to make an enlarged negative. When unnecessary fingerprint should be photographed while still on the original surface. In identification photography, employ the 4 basic ways of shooting identification photograph. Number 1 is the front and side views. Number 2 is front and 2-3/4 face view. Number 3 is the front side view and standing view. Number 4 is the color front and still views. Photographing bodies and wounds. The suspect body may show evidence of physical struggle such as scratches and bruises, foreign hair strands or fiber that may be discovered by the physician. The garments of the suspect may reveal bloodstains, semen, hair strands, etc. For autopsy photography, photograph the front and rear view in the nude to clearly reveal the condition in detail. Forensic photographers must allow standard operating procedures when photographing bodies and wounds. If the body is taken to the morgue, it should be photographed there as direct by the pathologist. The body should be photographed with any clothing that is on the body when the body was found, and then without clothing. Colored film and strobe unit should be used to photograph the cadavers from the head to foot. Stand as high as you can on it, then shoot straight down on the subject and try to avoid shooting from any angle other than vertical. Take photographs from head to foot before and after the body has been stripped. Full-length photographs should be taken from front and back of the subject. Mugshot photography of identified cadavers, skeletal remains should include identification. Mugshot photograph of identified cadavers, skeletal remains should include identifying marks, particularly tattoos and scars. Conduct close-up photographs on the entrance and exit wound, as well as internal wound inflicted on a surface by the victims upon the direction of the medico-legal officer. Genital organs should discover before the photograph during the post-mortem examination. In sexual abuse cases, there must be written permission from the victim and if the victim is a minor, the photograph must be taken in the presence of a witness who should be of the same sex as the victim and must with courtesy and professionalism. All photographs should be taken the datasheet case number to provide by the medical legal officer or the photographer himself. The datasheet should include the case number, date, and the photographer's name. All photographs, if necessary, should be taken with measuring scale device, especially on exit and entrance wound. Take over photographs as per request of the medical legal officer assigned to the case. Accident photography. The following are the basic rules of photographing road trucks, traffic accidents, and for SOCO and field laboratory work, or FLW. Avoid unnecessary surrounding objects that are not pertinent to the avoid unnecessary surrounding about that are not pertinent to the case. Photographs should be taken from the eye level of the driver. If there are witnesses, photographs should be taken at their their level from the spot where they have seen the accident. Shots should be taken from the 4 points of compass and 25 feet from the point of impact to show the approach and terrain. Take close-up shot of the damaged area in two angles from a distance of 8 to 10 feet. Take shot in order to properly note at the photograph notes in order to guide the investigator on how the accident occurred. Special care should be taken when the photograph a hit and run case. What to photograph? Number 1 is all vehicle in their original position. Number 2, all victims. Number 3, debris that indicate where the first impact occurred. Number 4, license plate or vehicle, at least one photograph of each vehicle. Number 5, all skid and tire marks, patches of oil or water. Number 6, if the vehicle has gone off the road and has made marks in soil, these should be photographed. They may give indication of the speed of the vehicle. Number 7, close mark made as asphalt road should be taken to indicate the texture of the road. The vicinity of the accident that does not include the accident itself for reference point. Mugshot photography. For taking mugshot of the suspect, photograph the subject front of the height scale without. Next is mugshot photography. For taking mugshot of suspect, photograph the subject in front of the height scale without footwear to determine his or her exact height. Let the subject hold the case verifier. Mugshot should be done in the following angles with the case number displayed at each shot. Number 1 is front view whole body. Number 2 is front view half body head to elbow. Number 3 is left side view half body head to elbow. Number 4 is right side view half body head to elbow. That's all, ma'am. Thank you.